Like an Omnidroid, a patient index has been programmed with the case of the 26-year-old to protect future patients. Now, let's convert this pending visit that you see here into the visit to the specialist. You see the R, yellow, meaning referral. To convert, you just click on it and you just fill the information. You just complete the information. Again, the patient says, I don't feel anything, my vision is perfect, but he's given a diagnosis. He's diagnosed with retinal detachment. No prescription, no lab test, and he is scheduled for urgent retinal detachment surgery by a doctor confusing her retinoschisis with retinal detachment. And then you see a patient in the giving you more information. We give you here, you ask the doctor what's the CPT code of the procedure, and you will see the name and the consumer name, vitrectomy. The doctor is about to do a vitrectomy. And you see here the success rate. A patient index will provide you from all the patients success or failure, the success fail of 67113. But not only that, there's a possibility another patient had this procedure, so we bring you the risk automatically from another patient. So you don't need to worry if the doctor talked to you about PVR. E-patient index is going to put it there for you. And then you have a way to ask questions to the doctor. Hey, why didn't you talk to me about this PVR risk that is so important? From another patient, we'll bring in the alternatives and the post-operative instructions. E-patient index giving you data, smart data. And if you see the other tab, that procedure is scheduled in pending visit as a future procedure. You see here of type P, the pending visit. So let's see the score factors now with that score procedure. You see, you have not read your paper record for the retina specialist, and then it's warning you here, hey, you're being diagnosed with the retinal detachment, but be careful. H33.001 can be confused with retinoschisis H33.101, warning you, like an Omnidroid, that this confusion does occur. That's patient index in action. And you see another warning, gives you another patient index here applying the differential diagnosis for you. And it's telling you here, you are scheduled for procedure, be careful. Retinoschisis is often misdiagnosed as retinal detachment by 3 or more experts. If you don't have fascias, shadow curtain, make sure it's not degenerative retinoschisis. Patient index giving you smart data for your shared decision making. This is important. You are scheduled for a procedure. Apply the logic of the informed consent to make sure you really agree. I explained in another video the logic model of the informed consent that I invented to make sure that you agree to a surgery. You can see in the score factor why the patient index score 433 is so low and marked as reckless. This is a patient about to do a procedure without reading his medical records and without a second opinion. Let's see all the features of a patient index. Let's see the diagnosis model. In the diagnosis model, you see the differential diagnosis applied, and you find all the diseases that your disease is easily confused with. The black symbol to the right will denote if it's easily high, confused, or medium or low. Here you'll see the required labs and the symptoms of that disease. And that black symbol means not, you don't have it present. If you have that symptom, it will be marked as blue and with a P. Let's do an example. Let's say you have one of those symptoms and you go to your visit and you go to the symptom tab and then you specify that you have floaters. Now, when you go back to the diagnosis model, you will see your symptoms to the disease symptom ratio. You see the P? You have the symptom ratio is important because it will give you a clue of how many of the symptoms of the disease you have. Let's see other features in a patient index. Let's see. You see that the retina specialist is marked as a second opinion, but the optometrist should not be the main doctor. So what you do is you mark the specialist as the main doctor, and then the optometrist is your second opinion now. But this will confuse the patient because the optometrist is not a second opinion. So what we do is we mark the opinion from the optometrist as ignore. Ignore this opinion because he did not give me any ICD code, so that your score factors is real. When you go to the score factors, you will see that your second opinion is missing. Let's do a second opinion. We go to another retina specialist for a second opinion. You say the same thing, that you don't have any patient. But now this doctor uh, diagnoses you with the right thing, with retinoschisis. The second opinion, that's it, right. And the second opinion is about to save you from a surgery you don't need. You see, main doctor and the S as the second opinion. Let's go to the score factors. Look at the new warning. Opinions mismatch. One doctor saw a retinal detachment and the other saw a retinoschisis. And you see the ICD code of the diseases. No other app is going to give you this info. Happy with the decision from the new doctor, you just switch it to be your main doctor and render the other one as the second opinion. Your next step is to go to the doctor who misdiagnosed you and go to his record, list of diagnoses, and mark the diagnosis as wrong. This will give valuable information to other e-patients how many times this disease has been misdiagnosed, providing important information for patients and for doctors too. E-patient index will provide valuable information for shared decision making. Solution number 2, medical records in hand. Read your medical record. The next video provides the perfect solution. It shows why people need to read their official medical records, not the online records. I call it Operation Records in Hand. Reading your official medical records will save your life. Note, E-Patient Index is not endorsed by any of the people in the examples I show. They were only my source of inspiration. Let's see the video. It's about the interesting story of Trisha DeRay that I came across while I was writing my book, Patient Malpractice, that is already in Amazon. Please take a look at my book. She was misdiagnosed with cancer, and she saved her life by scrutinizing herself, her medical record. That's why, in honor of this study, I call this Operation Records in Hand. She began to Google everywhere. And then she discovered a keyword, the clonality test. Where was those results? When she finally got the results, she discovered that her cells were not cloning and that her diagnosis was a misdiagnosis. Operation Records in Hand. She was her best patient advocate. Why didn't several doctors know that the clonality test was an important piece? Dave Debenhart, the author of the book Let Patients Help, provides the answer. We all know something, even us patients. Not one knows everything, not even doctors. She helped the doctors. Let's see E-Patient Index in action, helping for that example number 2. Her case illustrates why reading the medical record is the most important step that people and patients need to take to fix the healthcare system. I call it in her honor operations records in hand. Let's see in a patient index how she became her best advocate, and that's probably why she is alive today. Let's play her case and how using a patient index would have helped her. Let's open a case. Case date, the body part, and a brief description. She clicks on the case and creates the doctor visit. She goes to a hospital, she visited a doctor, and she puts her comment. I'm feeling well. I'm not feeling anything, but I have this lump. No symptoms, but the doctor diagnosed her or misdiagnosed her with SPTCL. Look at the power of the patient index, bringing the CPT code of SPTCL and the alias. No medicine, no lab test, and she is scheduled for chemotherapy. Notice the CPT code of the procedure and the patient index giving you the success rate. Right now, there's no data, but we will have data when people start using this app. Now you save it, and then let's see her score factors. Bad. She has a pending visit for a procedure. She has not read her medical record, and she has not looked for a second opinion. And you're going to see all those factors in her medical record. And look, subcutaneous panniculitis like is missing the required lab. She's been warned before reading her medical records that this is a very important test in her diagnosis, and she's been warned. And she's also applied by EpatientIndex the differential diagnosis. Take a look. Differential diagnosis can be confused with panniculitis normal. You don't have any alternate opinion. She's warned the importance of looking for a second opinion and taking the medical records to the second opinion. And also, look, you are scheduled for a procedure. Apply the logic of the informed consent to make sure you really agree. Read more in advices. She applied perfectly the logic model of the informed consent that I'm going to explain using this video as inspiration, using her study as inspiration. I invented the logic model of the informed consent. So let me show you what the logic model is. L, listen to the doctor, obtain a copy of your medical record to make sure that what he's telling you is the same thing he's writing. Google like she did, scrutinize, get a second opinion. If you're informed, if your information is good, then sign the consent. That's the logic model of the informed consent. So let's see Trisha's story applying perfectly the logic model. She listened to the doctor. Two labs confirmed this result. She listened to the doctor. What you have is so rare, no one will know anything more about it than I do. But then she obtained a copy of her medical records to validate that information that two labs confirmed. To her surprise, she learned that she also read the Greek letters, and to her surprise, that the clonality said most species 4, and she discovered that the cells were not cloning and that the medical records were not as advertised. She looked for a second opinion and escape death. Let me stop it there and say it slowly. She listened to what the doctor was telling her, but she obtained a copy of her medical record and went for her Greek letters and her ICD codes. And then she discovered that she Googled, and then she discovered that the clonality test was missing. And then she got a second opinion. With the information that she got, she did not sign the informed consent. That's the logic model of the informed consent. Let's see how this plays in a patient index. She comes to a patient index, reads her medical record, her score is going to go up. She orders the clonality test. The patient index will give you the line code of the test and the CPT code of the test and the alias of the test and the scientific name of the test. A patient index giving you valuable information. You see the lab was ordered, and then she goes to the pending labs, and you will see it there, and then she marks it as negative. She finds a second opinion to complete the step of finding a second opinion. The second opinion tells her your cells are not cloning, you don't have cancer. She reads her medical records, of course, from the second opinion. She changes doctor. And finally, what's the next step? She doesn't sign the informed consent, delete, cancels the procedure. But there's another step that she's going to do.